inshallah we're going to start out billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. So inshallah we will learn ayat number 37 to 40 of Surah Al-Kahf today. The story that's going on, I just want to recap briefly of the previous ayats. This is a story Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning about two friends, and Quran calls them companions, sahib. One of them was given two gardens that had grapes in them and were surrounded by the palm trees, and there was a river flowing in between, and he was a rich person. So when he was talking to his friend, he said to this friend of him that I am richer, I have more wealth than you, and I have more people behind me. My nafri or my group is much bigger than you. And then he further continued claiming that he did not think that the day of judgment or hour of judgment will ever be established. And then he said that even if it did get established, I will go back to my Lord and I'll get more than what I have. So these were the claims he was making. So at that point, in ayat number 37 that we are going to learn today, his other companion started speaking and talking to him. So inshallah we'll do a simple translation first. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Qala lahu sahibuhu. His companion, the companion of the rich person who was basically we'll call a poor person, he is speaking and he said something. And he said to the other person, Wahuwa yuhawiruhu, while he was having a conversation with him. So these are the words that he spoke. The companion, the poor person. Akafarta billazi, are you or have you disbelieved in him? And him is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he further explains, Khalaqaka, he is the one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has created you min turabin, from the dust. Thumma, then min nutfatin, from a drop. Thumma sawwaka rajula, then he fashioned you, he made you, he put you together as a complete person. Then this companion continued saying, Lakinna huwallahu rabbi. But as for me, my understanding is that Allah, He is the one who is my Lord. Wala ushriku, and I shall never or I shall not commit a shirk or associate anyone, bi Rabbi, with my Lord, ahadan, anyone. Then he continued advising his other friend that, and this is pointing to one of the previous ayahs, that when the rich man was entering into his garden, at that time he was speaking these words of kufr and arrogance. So this man, the other friend, is reminding him, Walaula is the khalta. So why not when you entered Jannataka, in your garden, Qulta, you should have said, or you should say, Masha Allahu, whatever Allah wills, that happens. La quwwata illa billah, there is no power except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he is reminding something that the other friend spoke. And the other friend spoke that I have more wealth and I have more people behind me. So this man is reminding him by saying, In tarani, if you see, ana aqalla, that I am less, minka, than you, malam wa walada, in terms of the wealth and my children. So what may have happened? The ayat number 40 is Fa'asa, this man is saying, it may happen or it may be, Rabbi, that my Lord, an yu'tiyani, he might give me khairam min jannatika, better than what your garden is, wa yursila, and he may send alayha, upon it, upon your garden, husbanam minas samai, a thunder from the sky. Fatusbiha, then what will happen? If some calamity struck your garden, it might become sa'idan zalaqa, a barren land, a dusty land that has nothing on it. So these are the certain things that his other companion is reminding him. Okay? And so inshallah we will continue the ayahs, because actually it happened that his garden was destroyed. Okay? So with that we'll go to the beginning inshallah, and we'll do some understanding. Here I want to point out few rules here. If you look at the first 4 or 5 words, qala lahu sahibuhu wa huwa yuhawiruhu, this statement has many pronouns in it. Okay? He, him, he, him. From the context you will have to figure out who is saying, what is he saying to whom. So we will try to break it down from that perspective. The first thing that I want to point out, how to identify certain things in terms of the pronouns, is that if we have, in this case, the first word is qala. Qala is made of 3 letters, qaf, waw and lam, which means to say. So when we put 3 fathas, and this waw with a fatha is pronounced as an alif, so this will become the word ka and la, lam with a fatha, qala. This word qala, and I'll explain a couple things, has the meaning of third person masculine he and past tense said. Okay. Now notice one thing, that in the word qala we have not added any extra letter in it. All we have done, we have put the harakat, 2 fathas in this case, after you combine together. These harakat are giving a meaning by themselves, and the meaning is that a third person is coming there and a past tense is coming. Okay. This particular, which is the simplest form of the grammar, has the pronoun he. We don't know who this person he is, but it's a pronoun. In Arabic, this word pronoun is called dhamir, and we speak zamir, but this is dhamir. Dhamir means a pronoun. This pronoun is a hidden pronoun, because from the 3 root letters we are not adding any letters. So this is a very fundamental pronoun which is called hidden or mustatir pronoun, and it shows up only when you put the zabar, 3 harakats, and which finally become 2. So keeping that in mind, that in the simplest form, when we bring a pronoun he, we do not add any letters in the original 3 letters, because this will change as we go further. Okay, now one more thing I want to point out, that when you make a verb or a statement that has a pronoun in it, you do not know who that person is. It's a third person, unknown person to you. Now I want to add something here after that. I'm going to add a word here which is sahib. Okay. Full word, when we stop we say sahib, but the full Arabic word is sahibun, always 2 dhammas at the end. Sahibun means a friend or a companion, and now this is a definite person. Okay. If thing to notice is that if the last letter has 2 dhammas on it, ba, If there are two dhammas, which is the sound of noon, then this word by itself kills this pronoun. Important thing is that if this is other than the two dhammas, then he will remain there. But if last letter has two dhammas and pronunciation will be qala sahibun, in that case this he will be gone and the meaning will be sahibun said. The companion said something. So now we have replaced the pronoun by a noun or an ism or by a name, and condition is that the dhamma should be there. So if I keep these two things together, qala sahibun, meaning will be companion said. Now I'm going to add something else in there. The word is sahibun. Okay, I'm going to add a who there. Who is another pronoun, and this also means he or him. Now to make it more clear from the context, I am pointing out that this is a rich person. There are two companions. One is poor and one is rich. I'm just giving a name so I can explain this to you. So the word was sahibun. No? Sahibun and who. When we combine these two words together as mudaf mudaf alayh, the combination will be sahibohu. Sahibo who means meaning will be his companion, his friend. Okay, the friend of the rich person. So the friend of the rich person is who? The poor person. Poor person qala. Poor person is saying, and poor person is the friend of the rich person. So now those are the two words, qala sahibahu. Okay, qala sahibahu, the poor person is the speaker and he is the companion of the rich person, and in between there is this word lahu. Again there are la means two, it's the preposition, and who is him. This who is again a rich person. I'm just going to put an R there. So the meaning will be qala lahu sahibuhu, the companion of the rich person said to the rich person. So the speaker is a poor man, but the other person who is being told is the rich one. Okay, again, wahuwa yuhawiruhu. Wow, I mentioned last time, is a wow a halia, and we translate that as a while. While hova means he is the one who is the one talking here. Yuhawiruhu, this word has come before. Root letters one more time are ha, vav and ra. Okay, these three letters belong to bab fa'ala. We go to bab number 2, bab number 3, where we add an alif, fa'ala. So this becomes hawara. Hawara means having a conversation. The word muhawira is from the same root letters. Okay, hawara, having a conversation or talking to each other. Okay, when we put a ya in the beginning, it becomes the grammar of a third person. So yuhawiru, he was talking. Who means him? He was talking to him. So when poor person was talking to the rich person, he said something. So there are all these so many pronouns, but we have to sort out with the context who is talking and who is talking to. Okay. Now in the few words after that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is quoting in the Quran what this poor man said to the rich man. First word he said, akafarta. So let's look at that one. I mentioned that if you have these three letters, root letters fa'ala, and it means to do. If I add a ta at the end, this becomes the grammar fa'alta, and this ta brings the meaning of you. You did. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning, when we make the simplest grammar of he, we do not add any letters in there, we just put 3 fathas on that. After that, whenever you make any grammar of second person or first person or singular or plural, you add a letter. So this is still a dhamir, is a pronoun, but this is not a hidden pronoun anymore. So whenever you see a ta at the end, this ta with a fatha is bringing the grammar of a second person singular you and past tense. So fa'alta. I'm going to apply this grammar to these 3 letters, kaf, fa and ra. Kafara means to disbelieve or to deny or to reject, and there are many meanings to be ungrateful. If I apply this rule here, put a ta at the end, it becomes the grammar of you. Kafarta, you disbelieved. Second person and a past tense. So the word now is kafarta. We write down together. Kafarta means you have disbelieved or you have rejected. Now this alif in the beginning with a fatha, it means is question mark, which means called a sawaliya, istafhamiya. Somebody is asking you a question. To make a statement, you put an alif in the beginning. So akafarta is a statement that you are asking someone something. So akafarta. So this man, poor man, is saying to the rich man, are you disbelieving? Are you committing kufr? So it's a kind of a surprise or a question mark or a reminding him that what you are doing is not right. So for that purpose, this alif is brought in the statement, and it brings this meaning of, are you doing this? Are you committing kufr with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So that is the meaning of akafarta. Let's continue after that. Then there is a word here, be and allazi. Allazi is again a pronoun. Allazi means he or him. And we are going to expand that a little bit more. But be is a preposition, and this means in. In he, or proper English will be in him. Now again, he's saying, akafarta billazi, are you disbelieving in him? Okay, again, just by looking at the word allazi, we will not know who this pronoun is, who this him is. But from the context of the words which are coming afterwards, we will figure out who this allazi is. Okay. The first word is, after that is ha, lam and qaf. Khalaqa. Khalaqa means to create. Okay. Khalaqa means to create. I'm going to do the same thing, put 3 fathas on each letter. So the word becomes khalaqa. And the rule is that as soon as we put 3 fathas, it becomes the grammar of third person past tense. Qala, he said. Khalaqa, he created. So far, khalaqa means he created. Now we are going to attach another pronoun with that, ka. Ka by itself means you. Okay. Here, these are 2 separate words. You have to translate separately. Khalaqa, he created. You, the rich man. So he's saying, akafarta, are you doing kufr or disbelieving billazi in him? khalaqaka, the one who created you. So only from this context we can figure out that there is only one who can create, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this hymn is pointing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In English language, they have invented a terminology or a way that whenever they talk about the creator or of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they write the pronoun with a capital H, capital letter. So that immediately points to the reader that this is not any person anymore, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So that in the translation you will see capital H. That means the translator is saying after Allazi, the one who is being mentioned is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so let's write down with a capital H. In other languages we don't do that. So far he is saying, the poor man is saying to the rich man, are you disbelieving in him who has created you? And now further explanation he is giving how he has created you. He's saying that first thing, there are 3-4 words which I want to point out, which are commonly known. Taraba are root letters. Turabun is the word which means dust or clay. Okay. Turabun, the word is always with the 2 dhammas. Turabun means dust or clay. Okay. Other word is noon, tafa, and the word which we create is nutfatun. Okay, nutfatun, there are many meanings and I'll try to explain some of those. Okay, simple meaning is a drop. Okay. Now, in the Quran, this word comes many times, and it is a drop of liquid, drop of water. To be more specific, this is the material which begins the creation of the human being in the womb of the mother. So it can be translated as a sperm drop. Okay, so the important thing is that when you make the original word, they always have 2 dhammas at the end. The pronunciation is turabun, nutfatun. Now you put a min before that. Min means from. Okay, and when you put a harf-e-jar looks at the next word and changes these 2 dhammas to 2 kasras. So the final word becomes min turabin. Khalaqaka min turabin, he has created you from the clay. Now, it is the beginning material. Okay, we are made of clay, but we don't look like clay anymore or dust anymore. But everything which is in our body comes from the clay. Okay, so that's a resource where all our ingredients are starting from, so that is the turab. Now, after that is the word thumma. The word thumma, simple meaning is then, but thumma has a very special meaning that when thumma is used, then the sequence is to be maintained, which means this thing will happen, thumma, after that, this thing will happen. So previous thing has to happen before the next thing will happen. You cannot change the order in that case. So first thing is turab, dust or clay. Then from that clay will become the nutfa. Okay, you cannot switch these 2 around because thumma is making sure that you follow the sequence. So starting creation is from the turab, dust. After from that dust, another thing is being created, which is the nutfa, okay, which is placed in the human body. Then next thing will happen. After that, Thumma is coming again. Again the letter min is there, so nutfatun will become nutfatin. Min turabin, from dust. Thumma min nutfatin, then from the drop. Thumma, then after that something else will happen. Cannot happen before. What will happen after that? Sawwaka rajula. Let's look at those two words. The root letters for the first one is Shin, Vav, and Ya. Okay, these are three letters, so they belong to the group Fa'ala. We are going to make another word by putting a shadda on the middle letter, so it becomes Fa'ala. So this becomes Sawwa. Okay. The meaning of this word Sawwa is to fashion something, to design something, to bring something into a shape, okay, in a complete, perfect shape. So that's the meaning, okay. So as again said, if I put three fathas, it becomes the grammar of third person. Sawwa, he shaped, he fashioned, he designed, he put you together into a form. Then you put a kaf after that. Again, this is a separate letter, it means you. Okay? So when you pronounce these together, it becomes Sawwaka. Okay? The sound of this ya with a fatah changes into the sound of alif. So it will become Sawwaka, which is written as in the Quran. Sawwaka, he made you, he fashioned you, he designed you, he put you in a complete shape. Then the word after that is rajulun. Rajulun means a man. Okay. And this is used when someone who walks on 2 feet. Okay. A man walks on 2 feet. So full word is rajulun, means a man, complete man. Now this is being made. Sawwaka, being made. So this is maful, work is being done on that word. And when a word is maful, then we change to the mas to 2 fathas and add an alif and pronounce rajulan. Rajulan means a man. When you stop, you say rajula. Sawwaka rajula, he has made you a very complete, fashioned you, designed you a complete man. Okay. So this poor man is reminding him about the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his own creation of friend. Then the next word going to ayat number 38 is Lakinna huwallahu rabbi wala ushriku bi rabbi ahada. The whole ayat here, whole sentence here, this man is talking about himself now. The poor man is talking about himself. He is not talking about the other man. So keeping that in context, let's understand the word. The first word is lakinna. Okay, this is made of 2 words. It's a very unique combination here. Lakin is the first word. Lakin. In Urdu we say lekin. Okay, but in Arabic it's a lakin. It's the word is but. Okay, so that's very straightforward. Okay. Now, the next word is ana. Ana means I or me. I or me. Okay, that's the first person singular grammar, ana. When we combine these 2 words together, in the combination we drop this alif, which is here in the middle. Okay, so now it becomes lakin na. Now you have 1 noon here, 1 noon here. 2 noons when they can be written down as a shadda, and the word alif is there. This is the word in the Quran, lakinna. Lakinna means but, okay, but I or but me, okay. To put it in a proper perspective of the English, the meaning will be, but, okay. He's saying that until now, I was talking about you. Now he's saying, lakinna, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to say something about myself now. Okay? So, lakinna has a lot of good information in it. It's the beginning of the sentence. He's saying, now, as far as things about me, I'm going to tell you what I believe in. I told you what you believe in, but as for me, this is what the fact is. What is the fact? Huwallahu Rabbi. Huwa means He. Allah. He is the Allah. He is the Allah. Who is He? Rabbi. Okay? So this is common word. Rabbun means Lord with the two dhammas. And we combine with the Ya. Ya means me. First person. When you combine these, it's pronounced as a Rabbi, my Lord. Huwallahu Rabbi, He is. Who is He? Allah. Who is Allah? He is my Lord. So he is confirming his own belief now after telling that you, my friend, are committing kufr and disbelief, statement of disbelief and all these. But this is what my belief is, that first thing is that I believe that Allah is my Lord, number one. Second thing he's saying, wala ushriku bi rabbi ahada. The word is sharaka, sheen and ra and kaf. Okay. Sharaka, these are three letters, fa'ala. Okay. We are going to make the bigger word, af'ala is ashraka. This is the word we need. Ashraka means to associate something with somebody else. Sharaka means to have a partnership. When two people start a business, they become partner. That is sharaka. But ashraka is to associate or to join one with another. This is when it is used for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It means someone is associating another partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it becomes very specific word for the Quranic term, ashraka. So he's saying, when you put alif in the beginning, which is, we actually drop this alif and we put an alif with the dhamma, this becomes the grammar of first person, ushriku. I make association, I associate. Ushriku, I make partner. But the la is before that. La, okay. La means not, okay. Also because you have a hamza here, and this alif of la, because of hamza, should have a mad in the pronunciation. So you have to stretch wala ushriku. Okay. He's saying, I do not associate. The next word is bi rabbi. Bi means with here, and rabbi is already there. I do not associate with my Lord ahadun, anyone. The word is ahadun, but it is becoming as a maf'ul of ushriku, as a verb. So it become two fathas, ahadan. When you stop, you say ahada. Wala ushriku, I will not associate, or I do not associate, birabbi, with my Lord, ahada. Other important thing is that the word bi rabbi, this ya has a alif after that, that has a hamza on it. So previous letter of weak letter has to be pronounced with a long mad. So you have to pronounce bi rabbi ahada. Wala ushriku bi rabbi ahada. So just by looking the way these mads are put in the Quran, they always have a purpose, they always have a reason, so we should focus when we are reading the Quran. Now, so after making this brief statement about himself, this poor man goes back to the talking to the other man. He is starting by saying, Walaula is dakhalta. First the meaning. Meaning is that, and why not when you entered? Why is he saying this kind of statement? Entered Jannataka, your garden. He's saying, why is that when you were entering your garden, Qulta, you should have said something. Why is he saying? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one of the previous ayats has mentioned that when the rich man was entering his garden, then he was making these statements of kufr and arrogance and disbelief. So he is saying that this bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He has given to you these beautiful gardens and trees and land and everything, you should have been, while you were entering, you should have remembered His ni'mat and be thankful to Him. Instead, you spoke the kalamat of kufr. So he's reminding that, and it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually teaching us through this man that whenever we enter into some situation where we see the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala around us, we walk into our house, we sit down in our car, those are the ni'mats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should be thankful at that time. We should remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at those occasions, at those times. Okay? So it's a reminder for us, all of us. Okay, going back, walaula is the khalta. Words are simple. Law, wow means and. Law means why. Okay, law means why. There's other meanings also, but here why will fit. La means not. So when you combine these three words together, walaula, okay, it's like you are saying someone, why did you not do this thing? Why have you not done this thing? Why have you not said something like that? So you're questioning the person, but you're reminding him also that he has done something, he has a shortcoming into his speech or his action. Is means when. Is used for the past tense. So when in the past, dakhalta, you were entering your garden. Dakhala is means when, so this la means not. Is means when. These are all simple words, but putting them together, they are taking back to a situation. What is the situation? Dakhala. So this means when. When in the past. Dakhala root letters, and these are common words. Dakhala means to enter. Okay. And we just learned that if you put a ta at the end, it becomes the grammar of third person. Fa'alta, you did. Dakhalta, you entered. Walaula is dakhalta, so why not? And why not when you entered? Where you entered? Jannataka. The word is jannatun with the two dhammas at the end. When you start, jannatun. Then you combine with ka. Kaf is you, is a mudaf ilayh. And this is garden. Now, again, I want to remind that when you combine the two, you put an off in between. So it becomes garden of you or your garden. But when you combine these, because of the off, two dhammas changes into one dhamma. So it becomes jannatuka. Also, ta marbuta, whenever it comes in the middle, it opens, it becomes a regular ta. So this ta marbuta will go away and it will become a regular ta. So the final word will be jannatuka. Okay? But Jannat is coming as a maf'ul, work is being done of dakhalta, verb. So when a word comes as a maf'ul, work is being done, then last letter changes dhamma to a fataha. So final word becomes jannataka. It went through 3 or 4 changes because it's in a certain place in the sentence. Jannataka. So why is that? When you were entering or you entered your garden, qulta, okay, again the same thing. The root letters are Qaf, Waw, Lam, and you put a Ta at the end. It becomes Qawalta, you said, but Waw is a weak letter, it falls out, becomes Qulta. Actually, let me write down because it's important to identify certain things. These are the root letters. This means to say, when you add a Ta, it becomes the grammar of second person, okay? So word will become Qawalta. Qawalta means you said, okay? Now, Waw is a weak letter, we decide not to speak it, but Waw has a sound of O, Dhamma sound. So what we do, even we throw away this thing, we carry the sound of that on the previous letters. Okay? So it becomes Qulta. Qulta means you said. Okay? So why is that you were entering your garden, you said. You should have said. Why is bringing that concept? Why did you not say? Why? What was you supposed to say? Masha Allahu. We use that word mashallah all the time, okay? But actually, we don't use in this sense the way it is used in the Quran. If we see some child which is beautiful, we say mashallah, okay? What you're trying to use the word at a time, oh, may Allah protect this child from anything. Okay, that's what actually nazar na lage. But anyway, mashallah means whatever Allah wills. When you say to someone, inshallah, if Allah wills, mashallah, whatever Allah wills, I'm happy with that. So he's saying you should have said mashallah, whatever Allah wills, whatever Allah decides. Again, the words are common after it. La quwwata illa billah. We use these words all the time. There is no power except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no authority. Quwwat means power. Illa means except or but. Billahi with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So common words. Now, the next word is intarani. Let's look at that word because the formation is, first of all, the word in. When in comes before a statement, it brings a if value in there. If, so it becomes a sort of conditional. Okay. Now the word is Ra, Alif, and Ya. This means to see. Okay. Ara'aita, have you seen? Okay. Ra means to see. That's the meaning of these three letters. Okay. When we have these three letters, Fa'ala, and we put a Ta in the beginning, it becomes Taf'alu. This Ta in the beginning brings the meaning of you and past tense. You did. Okay. Taf'alu, you did. Okay. So this Ta brings the meaning of you and the past tense. So we put a Ta here. Okay. So it becomes Ta, Ra, Alif, and Ya. If we put the same harakats, just for the purpose, Ta, Ra, Ya. Tara, Ya, Dhamma. These two letters, Alif and a Ya, this one and this one, they are weak letters. So in the speech, to make the statement short and fast, we throw away both of these two. So what is left? Only Tara. And we pronounce this Alif back, so it becomes Tara. Tara means you see or you saw. Okay. Now I'm going to put letter Ya after that. Ya means me. This is a pronoun. We cannot throw this away, or we are adding in here. So now the meaning will be you saw me. Okay, but there is another problem. Tara with the Ya has another meaning, so we add a noon here called noon e wiqaya or noon of a separation. So it becomes Tarani. Tarani, you combine noon and Ya, it becomes ni. Tarani, you saw me. Okay, but So this will become written as tara ni. Combine, it will be written this way, tara ni. Okay. Now we'll take another shortcut again. This last letter is a ni, noon and a ya with a kasra. If I write down the same thing as noon, only kasra under there, sound will remain same, ni. Okay, so we shorten writing that and just leave a noon there. So now it becomes tarani, which is the word in the Quran. Okay, tarani means you saw me. In tarani, if you saw me, okay, or you are seeing me now, even now. What are you seeing in me? Ana aqalla. Ana means I. Aqalla is a superlative degree of qaleel. Qaleel means to be little, to have little. Aqalla means to be a lot less, lot little. Because this is the statement the man had made about his sahib in the previous ayat, where he says that I have more mal, aksar. He used the word aksar, more. Aqalla is the opposite of that, less, very, very less. Aksar is more, more. He said, I have more wealth and I have more people with me. So he's saying that you said you had more, which means I had nothing, I had less. So he said, if you saw me that I had aqalla, very little, very few, minka, min means then here, ka means you. I had very less than you, malan, wealth, same word. Walad, children, waladun, children. And both of them are coming as maful of tarani or superlative aqalla. So malun and malun becomes malan. This is very standard. And waladun becomes waladan. When you stop, you should pronounce walada. So he's saying that you saw me, I have much lesser wealth than you do. I have less number of people or children or family with me than you do. Okay. So this was a statement of arrogance. Because of that, you may be punished. So he's telling them what may happen to you in your garden in the next ayat. فَعَسَى رَبِّي أَن يُؤْتِيَنِي. So first word, he's saying to them, look, maybe Allah will punish you on your arrogance, insulting another person, putting me down, and suspecting that you may be or may not be raised, or there may not be a day of judgment, all kinds of things you said. You may even be punished in this word. So the word he's using is a asa. Fa means so. Asa means perhaps or maybe. And this word is used when you don't want to be sure about something, but you have the idea it may happen to you. Okay? Asa means perhaps or maybe. So keep in mind now, every word he is going to say after that is he saying there is a possibility. There is a possibility of him happening something. He cannot say because he is not the one who is going to do anything. Only Allah will do something. So he is starting this statement, fa'asa. So it may happen, or perhaps, or it might be. So that's the meaning of asa. Rabbi, my Lord. Next word is an. I want to spend a minute on that one, the word an. Okay. An is called harf-e masdar. Okay. And it typically in English the meaning is that. But it does certain things to the next word, and that's where the true meaning comes out. The next word is yu'tiyani. Yu'tiyani. Okay. I want to start with the letter alif, ta, and ya. Ata means to come. When we add another alif, it has come many times. It becomes af'ala. Ata. Ata means to give or to bring. So this word is ata. Okay. You can write down this way also, but that's not the purpose here, because we are going to make something else up. Okay, when we make the grammar of third person, we add a ya in the beginning. Yaf'alu, he did. Okay, so we're going to put a ya in the beginning, so this will become you. Actually, I want to write down so I can explain to you where the hamza is coming from. So these two alifs are also written as one hamza and one alif. Okay, so there is a hamza in there. Okay, so when you put a ya in the beginning with a dhamma, it becomes the grammar of third person and past tense. You, he, and past. Okay, so yufu'ilu, so this becomes you, you. Just to start with that, this wow here is sitting as a chair. It has nothing to do what is written there in the word. So I'm just putting much down. So yu'ti you. Okay. Now this wow and last letter ya don't match, so we just drop that. So it becomes yu'ti, or for now you just keep it there. Okay. Okay, because we are going to make yu'ti you or yu'ti. He gives or he will give. Okay. Yuf'ilu, he will do. Yu'ti, he will give. Again, I'm going to put a ya means me, and a noon of a separation, ni. Okay, so it becomes yu'ti yuni. Okay, now this harf-e masdar changes this letter to a fatah. That's the word, that's the purpose of this an is. So it becomes yu'tiyani. Again, we are going to write down this ni as only ni. Just explain in the beginning. So yu'tiyani means he may give me. It brings the concept of possibility. An yu'tiyani, he might give me. He's saying, Rabbi, my Lord, he might give me. Asa is bringing another possibility. It may happen that my Lord may give me khairan, better. Same word the rich man had used against the poor man. In the previous ayat, he said, what I have is better than you. Okay? This man is saying, maybe Allah will give me better. Min jannatika. Jannatika, your garden. Min means of your garden. Better than your garden. So min can be translated as better. Khairam min jannatika, than your garden. Okay. Fasa, it may happen. Rabbi, my Lord, an yu'tiyani, that he might give me khairan, better, min jannatika, than your garden. Then he is further saying, that is what I may get it, but what may happen to you? Wa yursila alayha husbanan. Okay, yursila, root letters are rasala. When you put an alif in the beginning, it becomes arsala. Arsala means to send. Okay, arsala means to send. When we put a ya in the beginning, it becomes he will send. Yursilo, yuf'ilo, yursilo. He will send. Okay, but that an is applying to that, who is a harf-e masdar. So right now the meaning of this word by itself here is he will send. But by an, two things will happen. This will become fataha, and instead of a will, it becomes may. He may send. And when you pronounce wa yursila, and he may send. So my Lord may give you a better garden than what you have, and he may send alayha upon it, upon your garden, because the alayha is pointing to jannatika, your garden. So he may send something upon your garden. What he may send upon your garden is husbanun. Hasaba are the root letters, and the word hisab and all those are, but the word when we make a husbanun means calamity or a thunder or something. Okay, now because the next word is from sky, from minas samai, from the sky, from above you. Okay, so this could be a thunder or a bolt or a striking of a lightning, or it could be any calamity that may fall upon you, upon your garden, that may become from above. Okay, and as a result of that striking, fatusbiha, sabaha are the root letters. We know the meaning subha and all those, but when we put an alif, let's become before in babaya fala, asbaha. Asbaha means to become, okay, or to be, okay, and usually because something may become, it may become upon in the morning also. So sabaha, the root letters are also there. It may become or it may be something. Okay, so the root letters are this. Again, tusbiha, when you put ta in the beginning, it becomes the grammar of a third person feminine. Tuf'ilu, she does. Tusbihu, it becomes or it may become. It here is pointing to the gardens. Okay, and again, because it's coming as a, so again it's a an is applying or fa is applying. So again, tusbihu becomes tusbiha, because it is just like it changing here. It may become possibility. What two words he is using? Saada and zalaqa. Okay, the noun from the first one is sa'idun with a swad. Okay, sa'idun means some land which has become barren, dry, nothing will grow upon that, is called sa'idun. Okay, zalaqun is also the land that becomes dusty, moistureless. So this becomes zalaqun. These are the two words are being used here. Okay, so both of these words are coming as a maf'ul of tusbiha, which is a verb. So when they become maf'ul, we change to the must two fathas and put an alif there. So the sound becomes sa'idan zalaqan. Okay, or sa'idan, when you stop, you pronounce zalaqa. So he's saying this may happen to your garden, that it will become barren and a ground which is without any water or moisture, dusty land, and Allah will give me something then is better than your garden, because this is what. So this is a lecture basically the poor man gave to the rich man as a reminder for him, and basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the next few ayat is telling us that his garden was destroyed and the man realized that he had done wrong. So it is good for him that even in this worldly life he repented and he went back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So a good friend can do good things to you. Okay, even though you may devalue him, you may put him down, but if he's a sincere and a good friend, he might do that to you. Okay, so So inshallah we'll stop here, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand the Quran. Let me see.